Hi children. This is the fourth chapter of grade 7, right? So if you haven't watched my previous videos, please go and watch them. I have a separate series for grade 6 and this is the grade 7 series. Here it's the fourth chapter. So my videos are basically targeting kind of a summary, a kind of a revision for you for the chapter. So it's not a very detailed description. It's roughly 30-minute videos, 30 minutes videos. So you can refer them, especially before the exam as a quick recap. It will help. Yeah. So this is the fourth chapter. It's about word processing, right? Word processing. Any idea what it is? Right? You may have need to prepare sometimes letters, uh, prepare reports, right? For these things, we should use a word processing software, right? So usually may have heard MS Word, Microsoft Word. Okay, so that is a word processing software, one of the best or one of the most popular example for word processing software, right? So what is word processing? If you think about, it's about they have given composing, editing, and or storing a text-based document in any style, right? So in Word documents, you can create documents, you can edit, you can manipulate, you can store in a storage device. So these are text-based documents, right? So you can apply different kind of styles, right? MS Word we'll be learning gradually. Not much here, but in later grades you will learn it, right? So a word processor can be a pencil, right? Or it can be a complicated computer software. So that's the most important thing you have to learn, because word processor means it's processing the words, right? So for that you can use a pen or pencil as well. But uh, in this chapter we are mainly focusing about complicated. It's not very complicated, but it's about computer software, right? So they're talking about the history of word processing, right? So letters and documents were there for a long time, right? So initially they have been starting by writing on leaves, stones, okay, skin, so like that. But now it's totally different scenario, right? So then they invented the paper and books came into play, right? Uh, then they used these wood blocks and clay blocks and all for the especially for the printing purposes. Then they invented the printing machine, right? Then they invented the typewriter. Have you heard about a typewriter? You can see a picture now in the screen. These things are now very obsolete. It's not very used in these days, right? So then we got the electric or electronic typewriters. Now finally we are with computer software, right? So it's about word processing software. Okay, so that's actually evolved how it evolved uh, from the kind of using stones to use the computer to for the word processing. So here they have given first computer which they used for word processing, and about the first word processing program. So what do you mean by word processing software? Right? It's a computer program which is capable of word processing. The simple terms, right? So a computer program which is capable of creating documents, composing is creating, editing its content, manipulating, modifying, formatting, and using different colors, styles, and sometimes even for printing in different styles, we can use a word processor, right? So most popular example is Microsoft Office. But there are so many other stuff also like Open Office Writer, iWork Pages, Coral Word Perfect, like that. So here also you have to remember, in the earlier chapters we discussed about, there are some softwares as proprietary softwares and some open source software. So if you think about Microsoft Office package, the total package itself is a proprietary software. That means you have to pay for the license and use, right? But open source, like this Open Office Writer, those are open source software. That means you don't have to pay anything. It's freely available in the internet, so you can easily download and use that particular software. Okay, right. Then we'll go and discuss what are the benefits of using word processing software, right? So any idea? Yeah. One thing is creating documents. We discussed it, right? You can save those documents for future reference, right? You can do printing, right? If a printer is connected to your computer, you can just print it. I will like file in the Word document. You go file, print, right? Then you can select the print and give the printing option, right? So you can search any text in the document, right? You can do spelling and grammar check, very important things, right? Because sometimes you do simple grammar mistakes and also those things can be corrected. You can get the word count. You may have, I'm not sure whether you have really seen, but sometimes some requirements are telling you need to have 600 word document report, like that. So then word count, you don't have to manually do, it will automatically show the word count. Formatting, editing, right? You can do different colors adding, styles adding for the font, different font colors, um, so many things. You can add pictures, add charts for your reports, right? Yep. Okay, printing we discussed, right? So before going into the word processing itself, they are going to talk about the keyboard. So this same content, similar content, we discussed in grade 6 as well. So keyboard is very helpful for us when we are preparing our word processing. So you should practice this keyboard correctly, then you can type very fast and efficient. So it will be great help for you to prepare some reports and documents faster. So usually keyboard will have these kind of um, keys, right? So first set is about control keys, right? You may have heard this control key itself, alt key and escape key, right? So these are basically helpful for you to perform functions with the help of another set of keys, right? So for example, control key in grade 6, if you have followed my videos, you may have listened to this. So control and C, you can copy something, right? Control and V, you can paste something. Control and X, letter X I'm talking about. So you can cut something. Control and S, you can save, even a Word document you can save. So like that, you can perform different based on using different keys, right? Then comes the character keys, right? So it is basically all the letters, the yellow color keys, right? Color combinations also you can see. So it's about letter keys, right? And numbers are there, and then you have different kind of punctuation marks and the special symbols. So all these things we called as character keys. Then comes the function keys, right? Sorry, here the function keys, the colors are wrong, right, in the textbook. So function keys are basically this. Can you see in the top, there are F1, F2, F3 like that. So these function keys are helpful for different special tasks, kind of, right? Uh, for example, F5, it's basically helpful for you to refresh your browser. smaller computers and laptops, they have some other functionalities also. If you see your laptop, sometimes you can see you can increase your volume, you can reduce your volume, you can mute it, like that. There are some other uh, functionalities also provided. For that, you have to press the function key, Fn key. There is a function key. So from with that, if you press F1, F2 like that, you can go ahead with the other different features. Okay. If not for like as I tell F5 for refreshing browsers like that, there are special functionalities based on different softwares. You can use them, right? When we do Word also, we'll explain some more. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. Then comes the navigation keys, right? You can see these arrow keys. You can move up, down, left, right, like that. You have home, end, page up, page down, delete, insert. Those things are like kind of a navigation support is given. Yeah. Again, in the character keys also they talked about numbers, but here again in the numeric key pad also they're telling there is a separate place, like kind of having a sizable keyboard, will have two sets of numbers, right? Now, if you see the keyboard, how the letters are arranged, it's not in alphabetical order, right? So I have explained this very nicely in grade 6. So I don't want to spend that time again here, but it's roughly, if I'm telling, it's in the if you see, think about the pattern, QWERTY keyboard. If you see the keyboard, QWERTY, that is the letter order, right? It's not in the alphabetical order. This is basically done because in the typewriters, this was the pattern. So they have followed the same pattern in the keyboard, in computer keyboards. Actually, in a typewriter, it was mainly because to reduce the speed of the typewriters because of the hardware issues in the typewriters. But because people have been used to that typing style, uh, still we are using that QWERTY keyboards. But remember, there are alphabetical order keyboards as well. So people have done research whether what is the most efficient one. It seems both are similar uh, kind of, but yeah. So remember, keyboard is not in the alphabetical order, most of them. Okay, so then we are talking about the special keys. Same thing we discussed in the grade 6 also. So first thing is caps lock, right? It's basically to type capital letters, right? So if you press it once, you can type capital letters, and if you again press the caps lock, you can type lowercase letters, simple letters. Okay. Then comes the shift key, right? So shift key is basically used for two functions. One thing is like if you want now think you are in now a simple letters mode, right? Caps lock is not pressed. Then if you press shift and some letter, you can get the reverse version of it. Like that means if you are now in simple letter mode, you can get the capital letters. Understood? If you are already in caps lock mode, that means you are in a capital letter mode. Then if you press shift and a key, shift and a letter key, you can go for simple letters like that. The next functionality is, can you see in the keyboard some keys are having two symbols in it? You may have a problem how to press that, right? So especially if you have number keys on top, there are special symbols. To press the top one, you have to press that particular key with the shift key. Understood? Then come the space bar, right? This is basically to enter empty space between words. So if you press once, it will be a single space. If you press two times, it will be two spaces like that. Then comes the tab key, right? If you want to have a big space in between the letters, in between the words, you can press the tab key. right? So if you press once, it's a single tap. If you press 2 times, it will be 2 spaces, kind of, right? Then comes the enter key. So if you press the enter key, the cursor is that blinking black line. Now in Word document, if you open a Word document and if you type something, you can see a blinking icon. So that's the cursor. So if you press enter, that will go to the next slide. Then comes the arrow keys we already discussed, right? Going up and down and going left and right. And you have backspace. So if you press once, it will delete any character, space, number, anything which is left to the cursor, right? So it is going backwards actually. So if you have the current cursor position, it will go back and delete anything in there, right? Understood? Okay. So that's about the keyboard, and this is about how to use the keyboard correctly, right? So these things are very important because otherwise you will get a lot of health issues while you're using the computer, right? So always, not only keyboard, when you're using the computer, you have to follow some health good practices, right? We have discussed these things in grade 6 also. So first thing is sitting, right? You have to sit with a proper posture, right? Because you should have a proper computer, right? And you have to have a proper chair, right? Because if you don't sit properly, the eye level should be matched with the screen, right? Like that. So if you don't follow these things, it will cause a lot of pains in your hands, neck, back, and other joints and all. Okay. Then next thing is when you are placing the keyboard, it should be in the right place, right? So usually your body uh, should be in front of the space bar of the computer. Not that you put your keyboard in somewhere and you are sitting in somewhere. So you have to make sure that you are in front of the space bar of the keyboard, right? Because then only it is more efficient to use your hands. Then next thing is like always don't try to keep your hands on the table, right? Because when you're typing, you should both hands should be raised above the keys, right? That means your hands should not touch the keyboard or table, because otherwise you will feel numbness and pain in the fingers and all. When you're typing, uh, you should always make sure your hands are not touching. Typing with the habit of resting the palm or wrist on the table may cause long-term issues for you. Okay, so see the picture, right? Hands are not touching. Hands should be on top. And always press the keys softly, right? It's very sufficient to press a key very softly to type any character, right? No need to press it very hard. Like, so if you use a lot of force in there, uh, your fingers will be very uncomfortable and you will get a lot of pain. Then always try to give a rest for your hands while you're typing and while you're using the computers, right? Not only for hands. Uh, Here for keyboard, yes, hands should be kept freely. Sometimes you should rest sometimes. Especially these things should be followed in for eyes, especially. Right? Don't look at the screen for a long time. Okay. So those things are very important things to avoid physical health issues, especially. Yeah, so again, they want to tell you about before jumping into word processing itself, you should know how to use the keyboard properly, right? Don't think you just use one hand and you search for, like, for example, if you want to type letter E, you search E and then type. That's not the best approach. That's what they want to tell you here. So when you're typing, you should keep your hands like the way they have shown, right? So your left hand, your fingers, should be basically on not the thumb, other fingers. Now, for example, little finger should be in A, right? Your ring finger should be in S. Your middle finger should be in D. Your index finger should be on F, right? And thumb is basically used for spacebar. And your right hand side, little finger should be in this colon, semicolon, that key. And your ring finger should be on L. Your middle finger should be on K, and your index finger should be on J. And if you go and see in your keyboard, F and J has some small kind of a thing you feel, right? So go and touch that key. Uh, so that is helpful when you're typing to come back to that particular position again. That's why that small thing is there. Okay. So this thing you can learn using internet also, right? So it's a good thing to practice this touch typing. What do you mean by touch typing? Without looking at the keys, you are typing quickly and accurately, right? So I told you don't look at the keys and type. Try to learn this touch typing. It's very important to increase your speed of typing and the efficiency, right? There are so many benefits for touch typing, right? And there are a lot of software you can easily download from internet and practice this, right? So these are the benefits of touch typing, like speed is increased, right? Editing is very easy. Accuracy also will be increased, right? Minimize errors. Time can be saved, right? Your mental and physical tiredness can be reduced, right? Health-wise, because you're typing fast, you can spend lesser time in front of the computer, right? It will prevent prolonged diseases, right? And especially in the hands, it will be very good for hands, kind of, because prolonged bone diseases kind of things will be reduced, right? And at this, think of like as a person, if you improve this touch typing thing, it's really helpful for you to find a good job, because some jobs are especially focusing about typing speed. But even if you become a software engineer, QA engineer, something like that, still this touch typing is very useful, right? So these are some typing tutor softwares you can download, right? Rapid typing tutor, type fast, like that. So you can go to these links and see and download a software and practice. They will like slowly they will start. For example, type A, letter A. So without looking, you keep your fingers on the particular keys and you use the left hand little finger to press the key, letter A. So like that, they will improve slowly. So you can improve this touch typing. Okay, so basically the keyboard has been produced for English language, right? But however, we can use to type different other languages, especially in Sri Lanka, we use keyboard for Sinhala and Tamil typing as well, right? So type Sinhala keyboards or even any language, like it's kind of two different types of keyboards are there. One thing is the standard Sinhala keyboard, other thing is the phonetic keyboard, right? So here they are having two things, right? Standard Sinhala keyboard and phonetic keyboard. So in the standard keyboard, that in there you have to remember the location of the keys. Like for example, if you want to press uh, if you want to press letter P in Sinhala, you have to remember what is the key I should press. Just pressing letter P won't work. That is the phonetic keyboard. There's a difference. So for example, if you press letter M, you can press P letter. So that's why in the standard keyboard, you have to remember the location of the keyboard. keys especially, right? So now in this picture, can you see? Now, as I explained, letter p, p in singular payan. So to press that, you have to press letter M. To press letter bayan, you have to press letter N, like that. So you have to remember it. Or sometimes there are special keyboards, so you can look and like kind of practice this. So it's not the way phonetic works. Phonetics means now if you want to press mala, you just have to press M-A-L-A. Like you press in the SMS words, mala in yes, English, like kind of. So like helakuru is supporting that, right? So you just have to tell mala, M-A-L-A. Then it will show in single, it's like Mayana Lion. Okay. So this is somewhat easier to use. And you don't need to know the exact location of the keys. Okay, so you may have been used this more familiar than the standard way. So in standard way, you have to remember where these particular letters are. Then comes the Tamil keyboard, right? I cannot explain much in there, uh, but you can type Tamil letters also in the keyboard. Okay. Okay, so Unicode, have you heard about Unicode fonts and all? So if you want to read a letter which is prepared by Unicode font, you don't have to install it particularly. But however, to read some letters which is prepared using a different font other than Unicode, that particular font you have to install in your machine, right? So I will quickly show what this font. So here can you see different fonts? This is what they're talking. So if you use some kind of a font and type a document and save it, if you're going to use it in a different computer, that computer should have that particular font installed. Otherwise, you cannot use. Okay. So there are so many fonts available, right? So Unicode also it's open source one. Like that's most of the fonts are open source. There are proprietary ones also, right? So to type singular letters, there are different fonts like FM Bindumati, okay, FM Abhaya, like that. That to type single letters, you should get them. For Tamil, this Kalaha, Bamini, those fonts can be used. So actually, this chapter, even it's talk that the heading is as like word processing software. It's basically focusing mainly on the keyboard and fonts and all, not the real MS Word or something like that. So definitely next grade you can learn more into this word processing, how to type, how to add a font, how to insert an image, how to put a chart. Kind of these things will be in later grades. So in this chapter, we basically learn about what is word processing and how to use the keyboard, touch typing, right? And how to use the keyboard for different languages other than English, right? So those things. So it's like a overall understanding about keyboards and other facilitators before starting the real word processing software, right? So that's the end of the chapter. So thank you for listening, right? So if you haven't subscribed my channel yet, please subscribe it. Press the bell icon so you will get the notifications when I upload a new video. So like my videos, you can put comments and all, right? So thank you for being with us via ICT e-learning platform. Thank you.